But Coop, I agree with him. Ty Simpson is my number one guy. I actually want the Jets to get him, but he's probably going to go 1 overall if the Saints are there. Interesting thing we just saw right there. The Jets play the Browns next. And if they beat them, the Browns, who most likely need a quarterback, will move up over the Jets as well. So, like you said, maybe some wins are losses, but we won't believe in tanking around these parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of football left to be played, right? So, Cooper, thanks so much for joining us. And it's interesting with this quarterback class, right? Because there's no clear-cut number one guy. There's not a Joe Burrow per se, right? So if we ask every analyst, the order of the quarterbacks are probably going to be all different, right? So you have Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, and then Fernando Mendoza. So kind of walk us through how you were able to get to those rankings in this latest mock.
Yeah, well, I think with Ty Simpson being number one, he's only started 8 games. That's going to be the biggest drawback on him. But when you look at Alabama, they're ranked 111th in rushing offense this year. They're also a team that has a top 5 strength of schedule. So you think about how much has been put on Ty Simpson's shoulder as a first-year starter. I mean, this guy has 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been unbelievably efficient in terms of jumping that Alabama offense under former Seahawks offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. So this is the guy that makes it go. And although he didn't have his A game versus South Carolina last weekend, you look at him in those moments when his team needs a touchdown. They need 8 points. They got to go down the field, they got to score, and then they got to convert on a 2-point conversion. Ty Simpson is the guy to do that. I think his level of play continues to escalate week in and week out. And with the Saints currently sitting at number one, his game really reminds me a lot of Drew Brees. So I think from a cerebral standpoint, that makes a lot of sense. The other 2 guys that we'll talk about in the top 5 are Dante Moore out of Oregon, who's only 20 years old, but this is a guy that was very, very talented coming out of Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, enrolled at UCLA, played 1 year under Chip Kelly, and then sat behind Dillon Gabriel as he transferred to Oregon. And I think he's benefited from those reps. I think there are going to be a lot of conversation. Should he come out or should he go back to school? And I think there's a case for both, but it's going to be really interesting to see because I think he's the best pure passer in this class. And then there's Fernando Mendoza, the Cal transfer, who's helped Indiana to an 8-0 start. He's been unbelievable this season from a processing, operating in the pocket ability. He is a perfect fit in Curt Cignetti's offense, and he's probably the most pro-ready out of all 3 of those guys, 29 starts under his belt. So I get it. If you're looking at these quarterbacks and you prefer Mendoza or Moore over Simpson, I think you can go a lot of different ways here.
And Lige, I know you already said it. You agree. Ty Simpson, number one. That's your number one guy as well. Do you agree with that exact order, though? Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza.
So it goes back and forth. I like Dante Moore, his ability to outside of the pocket, right, with his mobility. And Cooper talked about it, his accuracy down the field. He's grown so much since his freshman year at UCLA. And to Cooper's point, I think it was pivotal for him to sit that year behind Dillon Gabriel. I want to go back to Ty Simpson because I'm so glad you brought that up. That's always a hang-up for teams, right? Does a guy have enough experience? But he's been able to sit behind and learn from other quarterbacks. And with the game on the line right now, there's no quarterback in college football I trust more than Ty Simpson. I mean, multiple big 4th down throws. Like, this guy is fearless at the most important times of the game. And when you're looking for a prospect to be the franchise of your quarterback, how does he shrink or does he grow up in those big moments? Ty Simpson, only though he only has 8 starts, that's when he's at his best.
Sometimes you either have it or you don't in those big moments, right? And you can't necessarily teach that always. We're going to talk about the rest of the mock, right? And I don't know if we have the top 10, if we can pull it up here, because we're going to talk about the Bengals. Ooh. And as of right now, Cooper, you have them addressing the edge position. It feels like it's a tale as old as time with the Cincinnati Bengals right? going to the draft and trying to get some help on defense. So Rueben Bain here, top 10. There has been some chatter as to whether he is a top 10 pick, a first-round pick even. So, Cooper, tell us more about that pairing.
Well, he's a 3-year starter at Miami, and if you ask Mario Cristobal, a guy that I used to work for, between Rueben Bain and Francis Mauigoa, those were the 2 guys that really helped establish the identity in Coral Gables. And if you watch Rueben Bain, there might be some questions about the arm length in terms of the physical upside left at the NFL level, but this is one of the best pure players in all of college football. And many times this season, you go back to the Notre Dame game when Miami needed a guy to step up and close out that game, it was Rueben Bain. And for Cincinnati here, where they're picking in this mock draft right at 10, this is where I think the value makes a lot of sense. And you look at Cincinnati defensively, they're last in the league in total defense. They're last in the league in terms of points given up. They need to get better rushing. And this is a guy that you pair with a Shamar Stewart, who's got all the talent in the world. But if you need a guy to come in and have a day one impact and really kind of bring a different culture to your team defensively, I think it's none other than Rueben Bain. I think Zach Taylor, Duke Tobin, all those guys are doing backflips if he's sitting there at number 10.
And to your point, Cooper, he's a junkyard dog. Like, he's a guy that you want to go into the back alley with. He's going to come out with you side by side. He's a guy that is going to change the culture, and that's what they need in Cincinnati, right? We just saw versus the Jets. They gave up over 250 yards rushing. Rueben Bain's one of the best run stoppers at the defensive end position. Now, there are question marks about his arm length, like Cooper talked about, and then other physical traits, how explosive he is. But about 280 pounds, he can line up and down the line of scrimmage and be that guy that's just going to be a thorn in the side for an offensive lineman. So that's a position they need. It's a position they usually draft every single year. They just have not been able to find anybody next to Trey Hendrickson to take that step.
And we're like, is Trey Hendrickson going to be there that much longer? I mean
that's
they
the
hope
thing.
so.
Yeah, I mean, they have the franchise tag, so they could use him, but he is coming off a hip injury as well.
Oh, boy. All right, let's go outside of the top 10. So this is how Cooper sees 11 through 20 shaking out. We got TJ Parker there at edge for the Commanders. And then, of course, Jeremiah Love going 15 overall to the Dallas Cowboys. It feels like it's been a minute since they've had their running back, although Javante's been playing pretty well, right? 21 through 32 here. Remember, the Rams have 2 picks right here, 21 and 24 in the first round as well. The Bills addressing that linebacker position, and we want to get to some wide receiver needy teams. Look on the right-hand side of your screen. In the Broncos taking KC Concepcion, and then the Patriots taking Denzel Boston. So, Cooper, I'll come to you on those 2 squads, the Broncos and the Patriots. Talk to us more about the fits and how you were able to land on that.
Well, I love the fit in Denver for KC Concepcion. Every time you watch this guy, you fall in love with him. He started his career at NC State, was a guy that was a 3-star, wasn't highly touted, was ACC Offensive Freshman of the Year, and then transfers to Texas A&M, where he has been absolutely unbelievable this year for the Aggies. Can get it done a lot of different ways. I think the biggest misconception about KC Concepcion is that you're just going to plug him in the slot, but only 32% of his snaps this season have come from the inside. He can operate outside. He can stretch the defense, and he is like a running back with the ball in his hands. He had a punt return for a touchdown against LSU that changed that game against Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge. So this guy can do a lot of different things. And if you look at Sean Payton and his history going all the way back to New Orleans, this is kind of a perfect fit for a Denver offense that is kind of missing that mismatch operator on the inside. And then with New England, I think the value here with Denzel Boston is just too hard to pass up. The receiver from the University of Washington, 6'4", almost 210 pounds. They need an X and a guy with some size and some downfield capability in New England. Drake May playing at an MVP level right now. This is a great fit for Josh McDaniels, that offense, Drake May. I love this kid. I think he could go a lot higher, but if he's sitting there at 29, I think it makes a lot of sense for New England.
You know, we're sitting here in October, so we have many mocks in our future, and we look forward to seeing all of them from both of you guys. Cooper, we certainly appreciate it. By the way, that mock is over on CBSSports.com. Oh, man, the college football coaching carousel just keeps on spinning. Chip Patterson is going to walk us through the coaching carousel domino effect. We'll explain coming up.